What do you do for fun? How do you relax when you're not in the kitchen?
To be very honest, baking is my therapy. I
Okay.
actually find it, it's like a stress buster for me. So if honestly, if there are days when I don't have orders, and honestly, I hate such days. Okay, I hate those days because I kind of lays out on being creative. Hi Neil, lovely to
Yep.
meet you.
Okay. Very good. Hopefully you can understand my accent.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can.
I think you're going to do a lot of the talking because I was watching the football last night. So we finished very late, watching about 20 games at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So
I'm not a very big football fan, but I do have a brother who loves it. So
okay,
I do
okay.
understand the sentiment.
This is a show about Indian entrepreneurs, about what you're building. If you can
Right.
share your journey, how it got started. I've not
Correct.
covered this space for a long time. I spoke
Yes.
to Pooja Dhingra about
Yes.
10 years ago, and she seems to be doing quite well.
Oh, you
So
spoke with her.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
she's
she came on
my
the she came on
she's
the
my
podcast.
icon.
Yeah,
I look up to her.
that was about 8 years ago. So I thought, well, I'm not
Oh
doing
yeah,
any
yeah.
sort of baking stuff, and obviously it's booming now, baking now. So
Yes.
with all the TV
Greatly
shows
so.
and stuff like that. So
Greatly so.
please
Yes.
share
It's
your
taken a lot of in India, a lot of them.
yeah. Oh,
And especially the dessert game has changed a lot.
okay. So
So
we can talk about
yes, yes, absolutely we
the
can.
dessert game.
Definitely.
The dessert game. Very good. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Hello, Neil. Thank you so much for having me.
Please tell everyone what you do, please.
So I am a chef and an entrepreneur of a brand, a baking brand called Love and Flour, which I have built myself from the ground up single-handedly since 2015. It's like my baby. I bred it. I nurture it, and I've been nurturing it for the last 10 years.
Mhm,
And it comes from a place of passion. I truly
mhm,
enjoy desserts.
mhm, mhm,
I truly enjoy, apart from eating them, of course, I enjoy working with them. I enjoy working around the ingredients. And something about baking science is really intrusive to me. And
mhm,
I'm very curious about baking science, and I think that's what has got me here.
mhm. Excellent. Let's go back to 2015 then.
Absolutely.
What was the inspiration to do this?
Okay, so as a child, I've always loved desserts. As I mentioned, I always
Yeah,
enjoy eating desserts. Uh, but at so I'll give you a little background about myself. So I'm
please.
basically I'm born and brought up in Mumbai. Okay, I've lived here all my life, and South Bombay specifically.
Mhm,
I've been in around that space a lot, and I have done my schooling from Alexandra Girls English Institution.
mhm,
And I basically I have done my BHC in hospitality from Anjumana Islam.
mhm, mhm,
After which I have had the opportunity of working in reputed hotel chains like the Taj Mahal Palace and Trident Nariman Point. So I have worked there and kind of gotten like a professional touch.
mhm,
I
mhm,
have done my internship. I've done a job there, and eventually, I at some point I was really struck by the monotony of work.
mhm,
And by nature, I'm a very creative person,
mhm,
and I really hate being like in a routine sort of a thing.
mhm,
And for me, it's like my work is my passion. If it drives me, I will do it like with utmost diligence.
mhm, mhm,
So
mhm,
that's where actually it came from. I want to actually take a moment to narrate that story, what happened of how I found my calling.
mhm,
I
mhm,
have been so I was working at the Taj back then, and
mhm,
was one of those busy days and busy schedules. And what happened was I reported to work, and only to find myself, in a bakery with 20 other chefs,
mhm,
going at it. Like there were, because it was a wedding, there was like constant work. And basically what happened was I was pushed into a freezer. Okay, and there was no space for me to work. So they gave me 5 trays of eclairs to pipe out, and they pushed me into the freezer, and they were like, there's no space for you, there's no table for you, just. And I'm like, where should I work? And they're like, go in the freezer and work. And I was like, okay, let's do that. And I went into the freezer. It was minus 17 degrees. And in that freezer, I am sitting and piping out eclairs and the frosting for those eclairs. And during that time there, in that minus 17 degrees, also when my hands are like, really shaking up because I'm freezing almost, I was smiling and I was happy. And I was like, within the insides, I was like, hey, this is great. I love this. I don't have a problem. So it
Mhm.
was like, that for me was the aha moment. And
Mhm.
kind of like when it struck me and I was like, no, this is what I want to do.
Mhm.
This is my calling. This is my passion.
Mhm.
Because it just struck upon me that, I'm sitting in a freezer. I am cold as hell and I'm still enjoying this.
Mhm.
So, I was like, this is coming from a place of where you want it to come. It's coming from the heart. So this is clearly what you should focus on and you should
Mhm.
do.
Mhm. Mhm. What did your friends and family say then when you decided to do this thing? What
Um,
were their reactions?
so so actually, my friends and family were really supportive, and this is something that I want to really highlight is that when you have when an individual has their doubts when it comes to their career, but when they have a very supportive system back home or in their environment, I think the decisions and the journey itself becomes really easy. So
Yeah.
touch wood for me, I'm actually the first in my bloodline to be from a hospitality industry.
Yeah.
So really, no one has secured that.
Mhm.
But honestly, my family was nothing but supportive.
Mhm.
Especially my mom, especially my dad, my brother. I have a sibling, so elder sibling, and he was truly really supportive. And I think when you get that from home itself,
Mhm.
then everything else becomes really easy and doable.
Let's talk about the business model because am I right in thinking there's
Yeah,
no storefront?
there
That's quite
isn't. Yes,
that's quite
there is no
unique.
LED signage.
Talk about
Yes,
that and
yes.
the idea behind that.
Sure. So that actually came from a very simple. So Love and Flower was born from a very simple foundation, which is zero wastage, right?
Mhm.
And if you really think about it, you look at the stats, then India in 2026, I'll tell you, India has about 70 to 80 million tons of food that is wasted annually,
Wow.
and in the F&B sector itself, it's about easily 30 to 40%, right? This is because of overproduction, leftovers,
Mhm.
etc., etc. Right? Yeah. And in those formative years, basically, I had an experience that completely changed my perspective, and like shaped me as an individual, as a person that I am today. Like initially, I went like from being a typical South Bombay teenager who was like wasted food without much thought to like becoming someone who values sustainability and is deeply conscious about impact of the choices we make on the planet, and specifically concerning food wastage. So during my time there also, I saw a considerable amount of that. And what happened was that what used to happen was there used to be a whole assembly of employees who would be like, dump the food in our bags, we'll
Yeah.
take it
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
you know and we were strictly not allowed to do that. It
Mhm.
was organization policy and stuff like that. You are dealing in an industry which is baking, which is again has a very perishability timer, right? It is about 3 days, 5 days, maybe a week tops. After
Mhm.
that, you
Mhm.
have to discard it. You cannot keep it for 15 days, 20 days, 30 days.
Yeah.
So because that's when, if a customer comes to me and says, hey, I want a slice of a cake, I don't have a slice of a cake to offer you. You
Mhm.
either take the whole cake or you take nothing at all, right? Because see, at the end of the day, I don't want to just do a business here. I want to do something with a cause. There has
Mhm.
to be
Mhm.
some sort of a cause behind your business.
Mhm.
Otherwise, otherwise it's just a normal standing business,
Mhm.
right? That
Mhm.
everyone is doing.
Mhm.
So eventually I had to like sit down with a plan, and I had to be like, okay, I don't have a storefront. I don't have a online. Even at that time, it was really initial. I didn't have any
Mhm.
online presence, right?
Mhm.
So it was like, how will you manage to bring people towards you? How will you manage to tell people that, hey, buy a whole cake from me, not a slice of a cake, right? That was a challenge that I was willing to take. That was a risk I was willing to take
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
bet on, because I was like, I cannot do this without a cause. So
Mhm.
then that is how it started, and then pre-orders followed, minimum
Mhm.
orders followed. Then I
Mhm.
started curating a menu that, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
Again, pre-order line had to be set that, okay, I can't do it within 2 hours. I had people coming up to my doorstep saying that, 2 ghante mein cake bana do. make a cake into ours. Not
Yeah.
possible, right? Because again, you are kind of promoting like a homely, fresh, conceptual dessert. You are promoting, zero wastage, sustainability. All that comes into play when you set your baseline correct. I still have to tell every new customer that, hey, we are a pre-order. Hey, we are a zero waste. Hey, if you want to try from us, take whatever there is on the menu. And the menu is also very curatively set that I am either producing half a kilo or 1 kilo. There is nothing below that, right? I'm not producing commercially of 200 units of something. Whenever an order is coming to me, the amount of labor, the amount of ingredients, the amount of work that is put into it, effort is exactly the same that as to the next order that is coming to me,
Yeah.
right? So it is continuous on every order. There is no, making it together, mass producing it and getting it done. When you mass produce it, it's still, it's still a little easier. But
Yeah.
when you have to do every order curated, order after order, same. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So again, the desserts that I create are very conceptual. Again, when I was sitting with my menu, I was like, I had a whole category formation that we will do common desserts and then we will do uncommon desserts. Like we will do your desserts like your cakes and cupcakes and cookies and brownies. And then we will have variations of these items which are uncommonly produced. So one of the items on my menu is called a cookie pizza, which is actually again a concept that is like of course inspired from the pizza, and you're like, how can I make this into a format of a dessert, right?
Talk about
Sorry.
building a brand then, because you built a brand from scratch.
Right. Right.
What's been the key takeaways? What's worked? What hasn't worked? If you can give our listeners some sort of overview on building a brand, perhaps.
See, I think with me also with brand building, again, it's been like, again, it's like I said, it's been a journey. Again, I want to point out that Love and Flower ideally has no team. I am the only team here, right? It's a one woman led brand that is playing multiple roles, wearing many hats every day. Like there are some days when I'm a chef, there are some days when I'm an accountant, there are some days when I'm a content creator, there are some days when I'm the photographer and videographer. So again, like you have to continuously show up. See, again, for me it was really difficult because I was doing it from my house. How do I tell people out there without an online presence, without a store, that hey, I am open for business and I am existing out here with an entire menu? So there had to be like a lot of trial and experiments. I did a lot of so we have these online food platforms, Zomato and Swiggy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So initial days I was on Zomato and I was doing like I did a trial run of about 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, and I was there on online Zomato just to see as to how we can do it. We had cracked a deal with them that we will produce, we will not have an inventory, and we will produce by order basis only. We did that trial. There was a platform called Scootsie, which was there, which was in the initial stage. So again, we were onboarded there. And the beautiful part about that platform was that they were giving a 48-hour window to produce, your items. So that perfectly worked in my window because I do follow that pre-order format, right? I did a lot of pop-up shows. I had a lot of friends and family who had to scout out to that. Hey, we're existing. There was a lot of sampling batches that I did that I sent out to people for trials and stuff. Because see, in my head, I mean, as an entrepreneur, this is what my mentality is. If I don't try it, I won't buy it. Right? If I don't see it, I won't buy it. Right? So it has to be like when it comes to food and when it comes to desserts, you first eat with your eyes and then with your mouth. Right. So I in my initial formative years, I bought a camera from whatever savings I had. And I taught myself photography and I taught myself videography. And I did a lot of trial and experiments, producing the menu and then, actually taking photos of them. Because again, same mindset, right? If you don't see it, you won't buy it. In Hindi, they say they call it the slang, dikega to bikega. Right. So I kind of applied that, and I was like, if I have to, and again, I was a small brand. I reached out to like a bunch of photographers.
Yeah.
I had very small budget, and they gave me some massive quotes, and I was like, no, this can't work. If I have to bake continuously, I
Mm.
will need photos on rotation. How am I
Mm.
supposed to,
Mm.
pay someone
Mm.
20 grand for 20 photos and be like, okay, I can't do this every year or
Mm.
every month or every 3 months. I
Mm.
was like, okay, I have to buy a camera. I
Mm.
bought myself a camera. I learned. I took a couple of online classes. I understood with a lot of experimenting,
Mm.
and then I started clicking my own photos, starting putting down the content, put a whole online presence. And that time, social media was taking off a lot.
Yeah.
Instagram was in the new because this is Instagram. It came at 2010, and 11 Flat was in 2015. So Instagram was slowly just booming then.
Yeah. Yeah.
The era of bloggers had started up.
Mm.
They started booming because in India, that whole social media blogging,
Mm.
food blogging and everything, content creators, that 2015 was a set mark of that. All of that
Mm.
started emerging then.
Mm. Mm.
And back then, because they were emerging, they were also very relatively low priced. So
Mm.
that worked in my favor. I started working with a lot of bloggers and, giving them my products and doing like collaboration deals with them. So that's how then slowly, word got out. People got to know that, oh, it's existing. And then I think the most solid marketing tool that I had was word of mouth.
Mm. Mm.
Again, I truly believe if you have a beautiful cause and a beautiful product, you will make a successful business no matter what.
Mhm.
It'll take time, but you will get there. Even
Mm.
at 43, you will get there if you are
Mm.
consistent with it. So
Mm.
I had a top, like A grade, A plus grade selling products.
Yeah.
My products spoke for themselves, and any of my customers that tried came back, and
Mm.
eventually they did the marketing for me.
Doing this on your own in terms of
Yes,
bootstrapping.
yes, it's
What
bootstrapped. It's fully
what what
bootstrapped.
what advice would you give our listeners on bootstrapping then? Just basically do what you do and just learn everything yourself, or perhaps
See,
get some
I'll
help at the
my
start or something. Yeah.
no, my biggest advice to your listeners or to anyone in general is that start before you feel ready. Don't wait for the perfect idea or the perfect moment. I think clarity comes through action and comes through work if you constantly keep putting in, right? I think very important to stay curious, to keep learning. And I think another thing that I feel that most people don't start is because they're afraid of failing. So don't be afraid to fail. Failure is actually like a building block to your success.
Mm.
And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people feel that, oh, what if I fail? When I was in my when I was doing my junior college, when I was in my 12th, basically my 11th and 12th of college, I did start a baking brand called Sugar Passions,
Oh.
and I terribly failed at it. I started with making 30 cupcakes for my birthday, and I gave it to 30 of my friends. And all those 30 friends had it, should not have had it, but had it. And then the 30th cupcake they gave me to have. And I had it, and I kid you not, it was loaded with baking soda. It was so pungent, it was loaded. So, I had that fall. I had that epic fall. And after that fall, I really lost my confidence. And I was like, oh, I don't think this is my calling. But then later, 3 years, 4 years later, I tried again. And I was like, what's the harm? We'll fall again.
Mm.
Let's try.
Mm.
Because it was still my passion. I was still somehow circling around desserts. So
Mm.
as someone who's had one epic fail with regards to, trying this, it it don't let that one fail be, defining your entire career or your character. That is something that you should know from within. And I
Mhm.
think a very healthy support system gets you really long,
Mhm.
gets
Mhm.
you really far.
Mhm.
That's very, very important. Listen to your
Mhm.
inner voice. And also, like, most importantly, focus on solving a real problem, right? If you genuinely create something with value, and if you stay consistent, then success follows. Like I said, at 43 also, if you have a grade product, and if you have a grade social cause to come to collaborate the business with, you will succeed for sure.
Mhm. 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 Excellent, good advice. Who's helped you on your journey then? Who would you like to thank?
I would like to thank my parents, my family, my brother, my friends, my mentors who have been in and around, even the chefs that I have worked under at that point have really been a shaping structure for me. Like they would probably, they would probably shout at my mistakes, but it's actually because of those shoutings that I am today what I am, and I can think the way I can, right? Because those are your shaping blocks. If that is, consistent, I think, and I think I want to say a big thanks to all my clients,
Mm,
anyone who had the decency to draw faith in me without even testing me, without even knowing me.
mm,
They had the faith to try my brand and to test try it. I
mhm,
think that accounts for the biggest gratefulness that there is.
mhm, mhm,
Because trying someone blindsidedly without even knowing how they are, what they are, and just be on pure recommendations, or just even without recommendations, just blindsidedly, I think that's a great faith factor, to like
mm,
be put in and to have and to
mm,
feel worthy about it.
mm. Speaking of home baking, then let's say I wanted to start baking. Then,
Yes.
what's like the easiest thing I could bake?
What's the easiest thing
Yeah, I've never
that you
baked
can bake?
before. Go on, give me some tips. Give me some advice. What's like the
Um,
easiest thing? Probably like
come
a
come home,
cupcake or something.
come over home. I will teach you
Okay,
hands
okay,
on.
okay.
But the easiest thing, if I have to tell you to bake, is like, I mean, people say it's cake, but no, cake is not the easiest thing that you can bake. I think the easiest thing you can do is like, like a brownie of sorts.
Okay,
Very, very
okay.
easy, very simple. Even cookies. But cookies have a little bit of temperature control. So any
Hmm.
newbie might not be, but brownies are really easy.
Hmm.
Very easy
Hmm.
to bake.
And do
And
I
next
need
time you're in
some?
Bombay, you should drop in here. You
Definitely,
and I can do
definitely.
some hands-on baking.
Definitely bring my whisk. But in terms of the baking tools, then what's like the main baking tool? Then just a whisk or something like that. I don't know.
I actually had made a video reel about this recently. So there are like four important baking tools that you need. One is your spatula,
Mhm,
which is my favorite baking tool actually, because
mhm,
it's like the little flat spoon that kind
mhm.
of takes away all your batter. Like it cleans up your entire bowl and
Yeah.
it cleans up the entire batter. So that's my favorite tool. Apart from that, there's a whisk that is very
Mhm,
important, because of you need to mix your batters. Sorry, you need to combine them. Then you've got a scraper, which is again a very important tool in cake artistry, because
mhm,
it helps in cleaning your cakes and keeping the frostings finished,
mhm,
really, really clean and spick and span and finished. And the fourth one I would say would be like like your hand blender. That's
mhm,
a very important tool in baking because
okay.
it mixes up all your batters together and stuff like that.
Mhm. In terms of the baking industry, it seems to be booming, especially in India. It
Right.
seems to be a lot more TV shows, YouTube shows, Instagram.
Right.
Uh, what do you think of that? Yeah.
I think competition is healthy. I personally really enjoy a healthy competition. Like I have days when I will go to certain bakeries and
Mhm.
try their stuff and
Yeah.
just be curious about, hey, how
Mm.
you got that together. So very recently there was an Instagram trend that picked up on reels very recently, and it was about this cafe making a mousse, a sort of a teddy bear mousse,
Okay.
right? And I was really intrigued by it because I mean it's a simple mousse, right? You can't go really wrong with it. So I went to the cafe, I took a trial. I mean, bought the mousse and I tried it. And I was like, oh, it's pretty nice and stuff. And then I recreated it in my kitchen. So I honestly really don't mind competition. I think it's really healthy. And I
Mhm.
think it also helps you stay persistent and consistent.
Mm.
Because, I feel like if there is no competition, then you probably will end up becoming a little lazy,
Mhm.
because you'll
Mhm.
feel like, hey, I'm the best, right? I
Mm.
mean, there's no one better. So you'll just be like, oh, let me just ease it out and stuff. I think it's great to have healthy
Mm.
competition,
Mm.
you know.
In, in in terms of health, then I suppose you get the
Yeah.
sort of criticism. There's too much
Yeah.
sugar affecting
I think
people's
it keeps
diets,
you on.
especially in India as well. Diabetes and things
Yes.
like that. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that? I suppose there's a push for sort of gluten free and sugar free, etc., etc. What
Uh,
is that something you do?
I actually don't, and have been really been hammered by my confidants to actually really start a
Mm.
healthy line. Um, I'll tell you what my thoughts are. I really don't have a problem with gluten free and sugar free and stuff. But I really have a simple belief. You have one life, live it, eat everything you can. Why do you restrict yourself, like to eat this, to not eat this, to not eat that? Even if you're someone in fitness or someone that's concerned with health, you're not going to eat a cake every day. Or even if you are the most unhealthiest person, you're not going to eat a cake every day, right? There are going to be days when you eat a cake. So my point is, eat the cake as a whole, the way it
Mhm.
is, the way it's meant to taste, the way the texture is supposed to be. When you remove certain elements, and certain ingredients
Mm.
out of a cake, the entire texture, the whole authenticity of the cake dies,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
It's like, think of it like, if you eat, for example, if I tell you have a gluten-free pizza, will you have it?
No.
Like, you'll be like, what? Why am
No.
I having a pizza if there's no flour in it? Like the whole point of it is that. So
Mm.
I'm definitely not anti healthy desserts. I
Mm.
just feel that of course there can be people who love healthy desserts, but I personally feel, and I've seen this whilst experimenting and testing trials in my kitchen, is that what kind of sweetness, or the kind of sweetness sugar brings into your desserts,
Yeah.
uh jaggery, monk fruit,
Mm.
um they don't have that exact form of sweetness you
Mm.
know in fact, I'll tell you very honestly, a very good bunch of my clients are diabetic, and
Ah.
they still order from me. But there again, they don't buy every day. They have a 3 month rotational period. In
Mm.
three
Mm.
months, they'll buy one cake from me, they'll have it for 3 days, and they'll love it, they'll enjoy it,
Mm.
So they're like, oh, I want to eat the dessert as a whole. Why should I remove ingredients? And then, you're entirely losing on the texture,
Mhm.
right? If
Mhm.
I tell
Mhm.
you to have a pizza without the cheese, you'll be like, hey, why should I have it then? My
Mm.
point is exactly the same with dessert. Don't eat it.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
it's not the same flavor. It's not, you're releasing out the flavor, the texture. In fact, there's a bunch of my clients that actively take from me because they have comparatively tried from other bakers, and
Mhm.
they find my intake of sugar less,
Ah, right. Okay, that's interesting.
right?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, hey, I'll eat sugar, but
Mm.
I'll eat less sugar. And
Mm.
I have tried from XYZ, and I've tried from her. And I
Mm.
really think that her sugar levels are comparatively low because
Mm.
I actively do that, right?
Mm.
I
Mm.
personally am not a very, very overly sweet person, like in terms of,
Mm.
having sweet items.
Yeah.
So when I produce things in my menu, I produce thinking that would I eat it?
Mm.
Because if
Mm.
I can eat my stuff, I can feed it to the world. But if
Mhm.
I can't eat my own product, then
Mhm.
like, why will X person buy from me?
True.
Right?
True.
That's the mentality I take it as. And
Mhm.
if I see that there are things on my menu that I can eat, I can try, I can eat, I like it, so I'm like, okay, I can tailor it to that. Like, even
Mm.
even the for example, the buttercream frosting that we make here,
Mm.
right,
Mm.
is buttercream requires what? Like butter, sugar,
Yeah.
cream, vanilla, right? The ratio of butter is to sugar has to be exact. So, for example, if you're taking a 400 grams butter, you ought to take 400 grams sugar.
Yeah.
That's not the case with my recipe. I reduce down the sugar by 100 grams,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
right?
What will this business look like in like 5 years' time then? Yeah.
So I'll tell you something, Neil. When I think of Love and Flower, I don't think of it as a business that I want to mass produce and commercially produce. Because had that been the vision from the beginning, 10
Mm.
years later we wouldn't still be doing it from home.
Yeah.
My ideology and my vision for this brand is to create a legacy brand, a
Okay.
boutique brand, something that where quality is exceptional, while quality exerts
Yeah.
above everything, right? So today, even if I'm doing it 10 years later, I'm still at home and I'm doing it from home. Even 5 years later, I'm doing it from home. I don't have a problem. I just want it to look as a legacy brand.
Mhm.
Tomorrow, if somebody thinks about desserts or talks about desserts, like how you mentioned Chef Pooja Dingra, right? She's the queen of desserts at the moment. She's the bakery pastry queen, right?
Mhm.
So when you think of desserts, you think of her. I want the same narrative for Love and Flower when it comes to like, quality ingredients and
Mm-hmm.
quality A grade ingredients and producing it, like a made to order. So often when people ask me, what is Love and Flower, I tell them it's a made to order brand.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brand that does made to order conceptual, freshly produced desserts with a customized touch of a chef, of a
Mm-hmm.
professional five-star chef, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that is my definition for it. And that definition will even today stay the same. Like tomorrow, I just want to make it 10x higher in terms of, making it aware to the people that, hey, there's a very good, there's a lady who makes these beautiful chocolates.
Mm-hmm.
She sits Malabar Hill. Her brand name is called Pachi. Pachi
Okay.
chocolates. I don't know if you heard.
Mm-hmm.
She is only known for her chocolates, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's probably double the like she's, if I'm 10 years, 11 years old, she's probably 20 years old,
Mm-hmm.
right? Her brand is probably 20, 21 years old. But today she has created a brand where she is doing it from her house, and right in front of her house, she has managed to make like small like a window section,
Yeah.
like a small sort of a shop, but not really a shop, more like
Mm-hmm.
just like a walk in and out situation. I mean, so that's not the goal, but that's in the ballpark area of what I want to do with Love and Flower. Like I
Mm-hmm.
want to make it a boutique luxe brand, a
Mm-hmm.
boutique legacy brand.
What excites you most about what you're doing?
Oh, what excites me most? What
Mm.
excites me most is the fact that my everyday is not the same. There are constant challenges because I'm heavily into customization, right? So tomorrow somebody asks me to make like an 8 feet tall cake. Another day I'll probably have a challenge of, producing 600 units of cupcakes. So every day is never the same. There is a constant challenge of, and again, the variation of desserts, right? Anyone that comes to a query, like for example, I remember this very clearly. Once somebody came to me as a query. They wanted to do henna cookies. Henna like
Mm,
mendi, like
mm,
mendi
mm,
where we put.
mm, mm,
So they had a mendi function, and they wanted like cookies which were like a like the size of a hand, like they were
mm,
basically hand shaped cookies with mendi on them,
mm,
right? So again, that's a challenge.
mm,
Like today, I will, if I have a challenge like that, I will sit down and I'll be like, oh, let's see how we can break this down and what all can we do,
mm,
right? So I think that is something that excites me a lot because again, primarily, like I said, one of the reasons I left that hotel life is because there was constant monotony. There
mm,
was no space for creativity. If you are sitting on cakes, then you are sitting on cakes. You can't
mm,
shift to cookies. You can't shift to cupcakes. You can't shift to chocolates.
mm,
And I ask why? Why can't you shift to it? If you're a pastry chef, you should be knowing all nuances of pastry, not
mhm.
just one, right? And of course, pastry as a whole is like a very big umbrella.
Yeah.
There's not just cupcakes, cookies, dessert. There are so many other desserts that you do,
Mm,
and even at Love and Flower, there are so many things that we make. We make cheesecakes, we make cookie pizzas, we do macarons, we do chocolates, we do edible cookie dough.
mm,
Nobody in India does edible cookie dough.
no.
Again, it's a US inspired concept. Of course, it's not very picked up on. I mean, in Indians per se, I don't think
Mm,
they really the concept of an edible cookie dough.
mm,
But if you take this contrast and you produce it in UK, US, people will take
mm,
it by the tub. You
mm.
know,
Just
everyone loves it.
yeah, just wondering about the different taste buds in India. Is someone's
Yeah.
taste bud in the different from the north to the south? Then would you say in terms of
Um.
desserts,
So
or is it pretty much
yeah.
the same? Yeah.
So absolutely. So yeah, definitely there is a wide ratio of taste buds difference
Mm,
from north to south. Like if you go to the north, you will see more more based of desserts that are more light and
ah,
more less on sugar.
mm,
In the
mm,
south, you will see things that are more with like a lot of ghee and a lot of like
mm,
oils and stuff, because that's their diet. That's how their diet is. So
mm,
definitely there is a wide variety. And there are a lot of people who eat like Indian desserts, right? They're
mm,
they're they're very much into Indian desserts. I for
mm,
one don't make any Indian desserts at Love and Flower,
mm.
but I often take like Indian roots
Yeah.
and combine Western desserts. So like
Yeah.
one time for Diwali, we had a menu which was basically your cakes but inspired with Indian desserts. So we had like a motichur laddu cake. We had like rasgulla cake, rasmalai cake. We had a bundi laddu cake, and it, that for that Diwali, I remember we did flawlessly well because people really love the concept of a fusion, right? Fusion is something that can easily really go right or go wrong. It really depends on how you kind of present it to the world. So it really took off a lot. In fact, last year, again on Diwali, I had a dessert called Sutli bonbons.
Okay.
So in Diwali, there's one of the firecrackers is called the Sutli bomb, right? So again, bonbon is a dessert which is basically made within a chocolate shell, but it has a lot of layers within it. So you've got like a mousse, you've got like maybe like a biscuit layer, and it's not just like a one layer. There's like layers within it. That's how you know it's a bonbon. So I did like a bonbon with a Sutli bomb, inspired concept. And the best part of that bonbon was you could actually light it on fire and then eat it.
Wow, sounds dangerous. That.
It really wasn't. It really wasn't. Okay. But it was like a nice play on your dessert, like an interactive dessert of sorts, right? So people really like when there's like a very distinctive touch to your dessert. When you're doing something with an interaction per se, right? People really admire that kind of conceptual desserts.
Yeah, last few questions then. What would you say is like the number one piece of advice you'd give for like a first-time food entrepreneur who's watching or listening right now?
Start before you think you're ready. Yeah. Start before worrying too much about the failure. First, fail. Don't worry about it before you not even tried it. Right. So I think maybe just trying it, like just taking the epic fall, because that itself teaches you a lot, And I think the second piece of advice would be that, stay consistent, consistent to who you are and true. I think show up every day. If you show up every day, something happens. Like, if you don't show up only, you can't expect anything to happen there. But if you're showing up constantly, there is going to be some sort of magic that will come up. Like your showing up will have some results. Maybe not today, maybe a year later, maybe 3 years later, but it will have some sort of, like the fact that, in my case, right, I've showed up and I have to go nowhere. Like I'm doing it from my house, right? So for me, it becomes twice as hard sometimes. Like you don't have to go anywhere. You have to work in your own house. Like if you are still getting out to work and leave your house for work and then show up for that, you can still put up with that. But like for me, it has been like, your work is your home is your work. So for me, like for showing up every day and just kind of being consistent is what just smoothens out the entire thing and gives you a lot of clarity.
Yeah. What do you do for fun? How do you relax when you're not in the kitchen?
To be very honest, baking is my therapy. I actually find it, it's like a stress buster for me. So if there are days when I don't have orders, and honestly, I hate such days. Okay, I hate those days because I kind of lays out on being creative, right? Because if I have an order, I'm automatically boosted because I know it's somebody's order, right? I have to make sure it has to be top notch. Yeah. So that conscious kind of kicks in. But on days when I don't have orders, I tend to become a little lazy and I probably just Netflix and chill. But I do a lot of watching of dessert related content, like Cake Boss and whatever. Is it real? Is it cake? I see a lot of Gordon Ramsay videos, and not just patisserie. To be very honest, I enjoy cooking food also. Yeah. So I watch a lot of food related content. Sometimes I will try and experiment at home, just for a meal to the family. I'll maybe make something and I'll be like, let's try it, let's have it. Maybe I'll make a dish and be like, let's treat. So I do eventually, even if I'm not in the kitchen, I think unknowingly, knowingly, I transport myself back to the kitchen because I truly enjoy it. But I do a lot of reading also about, currently I'm reading Samin Nusrat's Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. It was a gift by a friend. So I'm currently reading that. And it's a great book. It's just teaches you a lot about food science. It's really great.
Baking is therapy. Let's leave it on that
Yes.
note then. One last question then. If people want to know more about you, or they want to order from Love and Flower or follow your journey, where is the best place to find you?
So the best place to find me is on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Both are my very active social media links. I have a link for the brand also. It's called Love and Flower. The handle is called Love and Flower. And I have my personal link, my personal account, which is Chef Sarah Patka. And I often, if viewers listening and audiences hearing this are interested, they can always check out my profile, because I always do, I do a couple of experimental videos where I do trials of these things that I make in the dessert format. And then I also have a series running where I make college students try, rate, and review my cake pops. So one of the items on our menu is the cake pops, which is basically made from cake scraps, right? About that food wastage that I was telling you about. So when we make cakes, we have a lot of cake scraps lying about. That is one of the wastage. So how I curb that wastage is I turn them into another product on the menu, which is the cake pops. So I have if you'll ever drop by to my house, you'll see I have a lot of cake pops lying at home. So I take those cake pops and I go to various college institutions or school institutions, and I'll just do a short 20-40 second reel, and I'll just ask them if they're interested to try and review the cake pops. They try it, they rate it, they review it. It's a really fun content situation. People really like it. So I think that's something they'll really like. And if the audience wants to really see my menu and what we have to offer, we have a website. It's called www.loveandflower.in. They can check it out there. And I'm also available on Instagram and LinkedIn. As I said, there are separate pages for that with the same name, Love and Flower. They can find me there. I'm counting on you to come to Bombay and do the baking together.
I'll bring my spatula, 100%.
Yes, please do.
Awesome.
It was lovely chat. Thank you so much, Neil.
I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you very much, Sarah. Bye now.
Thank you so much. Take care. Goodbye. Bye-bye.